There are moments in every person's life when they're confronted with an uncomfortable, undeniable truth, a fundamental law of your own reality that you can no longer ignore. For me, it was realizing that I would never grow to 6 feet tall. But for others, it might be a dream job that slips away, a plan that collapses, or a future they thought was guaranteed suddenly shifting beneath their feet. These are the personal ceilings we hit, the limits of our own biology, our circumstance, and our capability. They are universal, they are humbling, and they force a kind of surrender. But there are rarer moments, heavier moments, moments when a person isn't just forced to accept a truth, but to accept a role. A moment when choice dissolves, when the universe corners you and responsibility you never asked for sinks into your bones, whether you're ready or not. This is the burden of becoming someone you never intended to be. And no character in anime understands the terrifying, exhilarating, and painful weight of that transformation more intimately than Simone from Gurren Lagann. His story isn't just a hero's journey. It is a profound psychological and philosophical case study on the construction of the self. It asks a brutal question. What happens when a person you are is so fundamentally insufficient for the world you live in? And are you forced to evolve or die? We meet Simone in the depths of Giha village, a subterranean society that is more than a setting, it's a state of mind. This is Plato's allegory of the cave made manifest. The villagers are prisoners, not only chained by rock, but by their own perception. They believe the shadows on the wall, the echoes of a world above, are the entirety of reality. Their chief isn't a villain, he's a warden of this ignorance, enforcing a stagnant stability because the truth, the surface, is too dangerous, too disruptive. And Simone is the perfect product of this system. He is small, quiet, defined by a skill that serves the cave, digging. He expands the prison because he cannot conceive a world beyond its walls. His identity is synonymous with the earth, with bowing his head, with navigating the dark. He is potential energy with no vector, a soul buried so deep it has become acclimated to the pressure. This is the first and most crucial layer of Simone's psychology, a self-concept built entirely around limitation. He doesn't dream of the sky because he doesn't believe it exists. His ceiling is literal, and he has never once thought to raise a hand against it. Enter Kamina. If Simone is the raw, unshaped ore, Kamina is the forge. He's not just a brother, he's a force of nature, a man who operates on a different ontological plane. He has seen the surface, and that knowledge has made him revolutionary in his own home. His bravado is not mere arrogance, it is a performative act of will, a relentless insistence on a reality that does not yet exist. Kamina's role in Simone's psyche is not to be the hero Simone will become, but to be the scaffolding upon which that hero can be built. He represents the external ego. When the first gunman crashes onto the cave, bringing the blinding, terrifying light of the real world with it, Simone's instinct is the rational one. Glee, survive. His identity as a digger is by navigating confined spaces, not confronting cosmic threats. But Kamina stands. It's an illogical, suicidal act, a sword against a god of metal. But the principle is everything. It is the first lesson in a new philosophy. The act of defiance itself has value, regardless of the outcome. And then Simone finds the Lagann. He finds the key, but the key is useless if you're too afraid to turn its lock. This is the critical junction of Simone's early transformation. He holds the power, but his entire being is screaming that he's not worthy of it, that he is incapable. He is paralyzed by the possibility of failure. This is where Kamina delivers his transcendent thesis. Don't believe in yourself. Don't believe in me either. Believe in the Kamina who believes in you. This is not simple pep talk. This is a profound psychological bypass. Kamina isn't telling Simone to find confidence within. He knows that's impossible right now. Instead, he is offering his own belief as a temporary external scaffold. He is saying, your hands are shaking, your mind is clouded with doubt, but my faith is solid, unshakable thing. Use it. Lean on my reality until you can construct your own. It is a transfer of psychic energy, Simone in that moment does not act on self-belief. He acts on the borrowed, ferocious belief of another. He pilots the Lagann not as Simone the Digger, but as the Simone that Kamina sees. This is the birth of a new hybrid identity. The drill pierces the gunman, and with it, the ceiling of the cave, and the ceiling of Simone's old self shatters forever. They ascend to the surface, and this is the moment of no return. As Plato warned, one can never return to the cave and see the shadows as anything but lies. The knowledge of the sky is a burden as much as liberation. The comfort of a limited identity is gone, replaced by the terrifying responsibility of an infinite one. Simone is now an exile from simplicity, thrust into a role he never asked for, a soldier in a war for the future of his species. The surface, it turns out, is just a larger cave with a blue ceiling. For Simone, this new world is overwhelming, not just in its scale, but in its demands. His identity, which had just begun to transform from Simone the Digger to Simone the Pilot, is now entirely contingent on the scaffold that is Kamina. He fights, he combines his Lagann to form the mighty Gurren Lagann, but every victory is an extension of Kamina's will. Simone is the instrument, where Kamina is the hand that guides him. This dependency is the core of Simone's fragile new self. He doesn't see his own power. Instead, he sees the reflection of Kamina's belief in him. This isn't a weakness, but a necessary stage in his growth. We all build our initial confidence on the approval of others, our parents, our mentors, and our friends. Simone is simply doing this under the extreme pressure of a war for survival. His mantra, "I'm not my bro, I'll never be my bro," isn't just an admiration. It's a psychological safety net. As long as Kamina is the unattainable ideal, Simone has to never truly become himself. He can exist in this comfortable space of becoming. But the universe in Gurren Lagann is a brutal and efficient teacher. It doesn't allow for half measures. In the battle against the Thinamith, the scaffolding is entirely ripped away. Kamina's death is not just a character death, it is a psychological cataclysm for Simone. The external ego upon which he had built his entire new world is obliterated. The transfer of belief is severed, and the psychic energy short-circuits. What follows is one of the most raw and accurate depictions of grief and identity collapse in fiction. Simone doesn't just mourn his brother, he mourns his very self. The person he had become, the pilot, the hero, the warrior, was a construct built upon Kamina's foundation. With that foundation gone, the construct crumbles. He retreats into a catatonic state, mechanically carving statues of his idol. This isn't just a tribute, it's a desperate attempt to externalize the internal scaffold that has been lost, to literally solidify the ghost he has now depended on. He is trying to rebuild Kamina in stone because he cannot find him within himself anymore. The reaction of Team Daiguren compounds this crisis. They don't see Simone, instead, they see Kamina's successor. They project their need for a leader onto him, expecting him to fill a role shaped by another man's personality. This is what's called ghost leader syndrome, and it reinforces Simone's deepest fear, that he has no intrinsic value, only a reflected one. His new ceiling is no longer the rock of the cave, but the colossal, suffocating shadow of his dead brother. His spiral power, the literal manifestation of his life force and will, vanishes. The Gurren Lagann becomes inert metal. This is the ultimate psychocosmic expression of his despair. He's not just acting powerless, he has become powerless. His will to evolve, to spiral upwards, has reversed into a tight, inward coil of self-annihilation. He is digging again, but this time, he's digging his own grave. In this absolute darkness, a new kind of light appears. Not the blazing solar flame of Kamina, but the gentle, lunar glow of Nia. Her introduction is a masterstroke of psychological storytelling. Where Kamina's belief was a demand for Simone to become more, Nia's is an acceptance of who he has become right now. She doesn't see Kamina's little brother or the savior of humanity. Instead, she sees the boy who saved her. Her purity and innocence allows her to bypass the complex legacy Simone is trapped by and reflect back to him a simple, fundamental truth. You are Simone. and that is enough. She doesn't offer a new scaffold, she offers a mirror. Her belief isn't something for him to borrow, it's a quiet insistence that he has to look at himself and see what she sees. This is the first fragile nudge towards the most terrifying and essential step in any person's growth, the journey from external validation to internal, self-generated belief. The crisis culminates in the bowels of the beast man's prison. Faced with certain death and inspired by Nia's unwavering persistence, Simone is forced to act. He begins to dig, not with the machine, but with his own hands. It is a return to his oldest, most fundamental identity, but now infused with a new purpose. As he digs, he replays Kamina's final words, not as a command, but as a puzzle he must finally solve. Believe in yourself, not in the Simone that I believe in, but believe in the Simone that you believe in. The meaning finally cracks open for him. Kamina wasn't telling him to become a copy, he was giving him permission to become an original. The final, dismantled piece of the scaffold is the instruction to build something of his own. In that dark tunnel, Simone the Digger doesn't just dig through rock, he digs through his own grief, his dependency, and his shattered self-image. He unearths not a mecha, but his own agency. The Lagann reactivates, not in a roar of borrowed bravado, but with a determined, steady hum. It answers to his will now. He has not replaced Kamina, he has integrated him. The external belief has been metabolized and transformed into an internal conviction. He stands before Gwame, not as a ghost, but as a man, declaring with a newfound, unshakable gravity, I'm not my bro, I'm me, Simone the Digger. Victory against the Spiral King should be the end of the story. The boy has become the man, the tyrant is overthrown, and the surface is reclaimed. But Gurren Lagann is smarter than that. It understands that the most difficult battles aren't for liberation, but for governance. The psychological journey isn't over once you find yourself. The next challenge is figuring out who you are in a world of peace. The 7-year time skip reveals the final and perhaps most subtle layer of Simone's transformation. The hot-headed revolutionary, the unstoppable force of will, is now Supreme Commander Simone. This is a brilliant narrative choice. It demonstrates that self-actualization isn't about becoming infinitely powerful. It's about understanding the context in which your power is effective. I think we can all face it here. Simone is a terrible politician. He is impulsive, instinctual, and ill-suited for the compromises and slow grinding work of governance. His power energy is useless here. This creates a fascinating psychological tension. The man who can shatter galaxies is now powerless against a mountain of paperwork. He is, once again, in a role that doesn't fit. But this time, his crisis is not born of insecurity, but of a profound self-awareness. He knows who he is, and he knows that who he is not what this new world needs. This is the mark of a truly mature psyche, the ability to see your own limitations without self-loathing. This piece also introduces the ultimate test of his hard-won identity, Roshio's pragmatic betrayal. Roshio, the boy from the utilitarian cave, has now grown into a man who worships at the altar of cold logic. Haunted by the Spiral King's identity, he chooses survival of the species over the freedom of the individual. He arrests Simone, the very heart of their revolution, to be a scapegoat for a terrified populace. This is Simone's deepest valley. He is imprisoned not by a villain, but by a friend. The world he saved has turned on him, not out of malice, but out of fear. And here we see the absolute steel of his self-belief. The Simone of old would have collapsed in despair. The Simone who relied on Kamina would have raged. But this Simone does something extraordinary. He forgives Roshio. He understands the burden of leadership, the terrifying weight of the hard decision. His empathy here is a superpower greater than any mecha. He sits in his cell not as a victim, but as a patient force of nature, waiting for the moment his specific skill set will be needed again. He has now transcended the need for external validation to such a degree that even betrayal cannot shake his core. His identity is no longer reactive, it is foundational. When the Spiral King threats manifests and the moon hurtles towards Earth, Simone is broken out of prison. He doesn't seek revenge. He doesn't give a grand speech. He simply gets to work. He unchains Viral, his old enemy, recognizing that the old divisions are meaningless in the face of annihilation. This is the final shedding of a tribal identity. He is no longer just fighting for humanity, but for the right of all spiral life to exist and evolve. His sense of self has expanded to encompass the universe. The final battle against the Spiral Anti-Spiral King is not a physical conflict. It is philosophical and psychological. The Anti-Spiral represents the ultimate expression of the fear that's haunted Simone at a very stage, the fear of the limit. They are the cosmic embodiment of the Cave Chief, Russia's utilitarianism, and Lord Jerome's despair, all fused into a single consciousness. Their argument is the most rational one imaginable. Unchecked growth, the very essence of spiral power, leads to the end of everything. The spiral nemesis. Their solution is the final absolute ceiling, the suppression of all evolution to preserve existence itself. They wield probability and fear, demonstrating with mathematical certainty that victory is impossible. This is the ultimate external pressure telling Simone, you are not enough. Your hope is a disease. Your very nature is a flaw. Simone's response is the culmination of his entire psychological journey. It is the thesis statement of a fully self-actualized being. We don't care about what's possible or impossible. We're going to do it anyway. This is not the borrowed bravado of Kamina. This is a conscious, willful choice to reject a reality defined by external limits. He acknowledges the risk of the spiral nemesis, but chooses to believe in the potential of spiral life to find another way. He accepts the burden of that uncertainty. He will bear the weight of that possible future, not with despair, but with determination. And in the climax, when all seems lost, Kamina returns, but he doesn't come to save the day. He comes to give the final, loving acknowledgement that the scaffold is no longer needed. You've gotten taller, Simone, he says. The student has not just matched the master, he has surpassed him. The little digger is now the tallest of them all. Not in inches, of course, but in the scope of his spirit and the strength of his self-denied will. In victory, Simone makes his most profound choice. He accepts the death of Nia, the final heartbreaking cost of his victory. He doesn't rage at the universe as many would. He doesn't try to use his godlike power to rewrite this one immutable law. He holds her, loves her, and lets her go. This is the ultimate expression of his strength, the power to accept loss without being broken by it. And then he walks away. He gives up power, something so rare in many shounen genre. He rejects the throne, knowing that the world now needs builders, not breakers. He passes the torch to Rossio and becomes a wanderer, an anonymous legend. This is the final piece of his self-actualization. He knows his purpose was to pierce ceilings, not to rule the world that exists between them. His identity is so secure that he doesn't need the title of Supreme Commander to validate it. So, what is the profound psychological truth at the heart of Simone the Digger's journey? It is what this self is not a fixed, singular thing, but it's something for you to discover. It is a dynamic, evolving construct that you must continuously build, tear down, and rebuild in the face of an ever-changing world. It begins with a borrowed belief of others, is shattered by the loss of crisis, and is ultimately forged in the fire of your own choices. Simone's story teaches us that hitting a ceiling, whether it's a cave roof or the shadow of a brother, the betrayal of a friend, or a cosmic law of probability, is not the end. It is the invitation to drill. Our limitations, our grief, and our despair are not walls to stop us. They are the raw materials, the friction, the resistance against which we define our will. The drill is a spiral, and the spiral is not a circle. It does not end where it began. With every rotation, it moves forward. Simone began as a boy, digging holes in the dark, and he ended as a man. He reshaped the cosmos. But the core truth remained. He never stopped being a digger. He simply learned that the most important tunnels we dig are not through earth, but through the layers of our own doubt, fear, and limitations. His journey is a mandate to us all. Your cave is waiting. your drill is in your hand, the question is not whether you'll pierce the heavens, but whether you'll have the courage to believe in a you that believes in you. And start digging.